All right, I don't know what's going on here yet, so we are live again. Hi, everybody. If you're joining me right now, I am so sorry about what's going on at the moment. We've been having some issues here with Restream, so there's going to be a lot going on here. Okay, well, it's working now, so that's good. All right. There we go. Okay, we got some people coming in. Okay, good. Hey, everybody. If you're joining me right now, please excuse me for the problems. Today we've been, unfortunately for some reason, Restream, which is my service here, decided to crap out on me right when I was getting things going. So I need to do a couple of things here very quickly. Firstly, I need to invite our guest back. So I'm going to do that really quick while we're here. But let me open up the chat window. So if you've got any questions while I'm doing this, let me just bring everybody in. Hello, everyone. Bring everybody back. So again, really sorry that happened. Just bumping into some issues, and we're going to get things going here in just a second. Okay, so hang on one second. New link. Hi, sorry about the screw up here. Good, I'm glad you can hear me loud and clear this time. Let me bring my guest back in here. Let's bring him in. All right, so he's got the link now, I think. And we'll be able to get going here in a minute. Okay, yeah, there he is. All right. Hello, Andrew. How are you, my friend? Good to see you. Let's see here. So I'm just going through all of this, and I need to add a few other things. So what we're doing here today is we're going to be doing a session. This is our brand new session, our brand new series called Ask NUX. And the purpose of this is to help you answer some of those burning questions that you have out there on just about every one of our products that has to do with guitars. I'm not a drummer, I'm not a pianist after all. But I'm here to answer those questions for you. And we're going to bring a guest on here, hopefully in the next couple of minutes, where we're actually going to build some presets. We're going to work on some presets together for the MG30. So the whole purpose here is to help you, but also help, one of our customers that asks questions and then broadcast that out so everybody can benefit from the information. So I hope you'll enjoy today's session. And I also have some questions that I have compiled from all of our social channels. Sorry, I'm stumbling over myself a little bit here because I just got a little bent out of shape on all of this. So bear with me as I'm getting everything else set up here. So let me just bring up the old QuickTone editor there. Hello, QuickTone. How are you, my friend? And then let me bring up my second camera as well. And at that point, Kenny should be joining us, and we'll see what happens. So let me bring up this boy here. Okay, there we go. Whoop, yep, wrong way. All right, there we go. Hey, we got a camera, and everything's working. Good. Okay, we have all that working. Wonderful. And I will double check and make sure that we're going here in the next couple of minutes. So if you are joining us, again, very sorry about the screw up there on the feed. I'll have to dig back into that with Restream yet again and figure out what the hell's going on there because it's bothering me quite a bit. We're not the first channel to do multi-streaming. It seems that every time that I'm doing it, there seems to be something going on. So, we're here. I see Kenny is here too. So let me bring Kenny in. Hello, Kenny. Hi there. Good. I can hear you. Okay, wonderful. It's hilarious, isn't it? You just think everything's going to work, and then all of a sudden we run into this. We always run into little problems. But, that's technology, everybody. Technology can sometimes be cruel. But we will I can see there's a lot of questions coming in, and we're going to have a fun time today here. So let's take a look at the top down here real quick, and let's bring this up. So I'm going to go to, there we go. But I'm going to swap those around. Woohoo, I do love me some technology when it works. So Kenny, why don't you give us a little bit of a background about yourself real quick, and then we'll get on to what we're doing here today.
Hi, I'm Kenny. I live in Southwest Florida, and I've been playing guitar since I'm 9, and I'm 63. And I had a bit of a hiatus from playing electric music, and recently decided that filing pedal was something that would fit nicely into the music work I'm doing. And after doing a lot of homework and etc., watching lots of videos from people like the pedal guy, I determined that the NUX MG30 was a good fit for me, and I have had quite a journey figuring out how I would apply it, and having a resource like the pedal guy available to sort through that, uh, we reach out to him to help me figure out how to best use it.
Well, thanks. Yeah, Kenny reached out to me, and I felt at the time that we could turn this into a really good educational experience for all of our MG30 users out there, because I get a lot of questions all the time about these particular topics. People want to know how to build presets, among a lot of other things too. And I've actually compiled a lot of the questions that I've seen on all of our social channels, including my own, that we're going to try to answer some of those today, some select questions. There were some that were more like commentary, of course, and while I appreciate the commentary, probably won't talk about those too much today. But I will try to give you guys some news here and there. But let's go ahead and get started with the session here. And I see so many questions, and don't worry everybody, I'm going to get to all the questions. We're going to answer all the questions, and then I've got my canned questions that I've already compiled. So we'll take care of all of that. So everybody's going to get a good shot here. What I'm going to do for the moment here is I'm going to get rid of the overlay so that we can maximize our screen here and we can see everything. So let's start by bringing up the old MG30. Obviously, we're not going to look at it like that. We're going to probably look at it somewhat like that to start. So the MG30, what Kenny did is he sent me 4 presets, and he has some particular questions about volume matching, about design, things like that, and we're going to go through that. So Kenny, there is one question I did forget to ask you, which is, what type of guitar do you play? Do you play single coil or humbuckers, or what's your poison?
So I have a Godin XTSA, which has single coil and humbuckers. So all of the above.
Okay.
But I have been a Gibson player for a long time, so my tendency is to gravitate towards a humbucker.
All right. Well, you came to the right place, because I brought out my trusty ES335. We use this to help with our process today, and hopefully everything stayed in tune. Since you're from Florida, since you live in Florida, I'm sure that moisture and humidity are always a fun game to play with the tuning of your guitars. All right, so let's bring that up. Can you hear that okay?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, so apparently we're hearing some sort of an echo on your side there, or one of our viewers is hearing it. I'm not sure how we can address it other than what we've already done here. So I'll probably end up talking a lot here. So, wrong note. Okay, let's go ahead and dig into these really quick. So I'm going to scroll ahead here and go to the ones that you submitted to me. So what we have here is we have one called Deluxe Reverb. we're good. Close enough for jazz. So we have one called Deluxe Reverb. We have one that has Roland Jazz. This is based obviously on the JC120. And we have a couple of other ones here. Now, I think these are already ones that were provided with the, by default with the MG30. Is that correct, Kenny? I can't hear you.
I tweaked those a little bit.
Oh, we tweaked them a little bit. Okay, good. All right, so what we're going to concentrate on then is we're going to concentrate on level matching. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And in order to do that efficiently, I need to bring in another friend, which is, of course, my QuickTone editor. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit of a disclaimer here, ladies and gentlemen, really quick, because this is probably going to happen a couple of times where the QuickTone editor is going to lose communication with the MG30. Now, the reason that's happening is because simultaneously right now I have multiple devices plugged into my USB chain. I'm also using an HDMI port on the back of my computer, basically pushing the computer to pretty much its limits. And in doing so, from time to time, you might see a dropout from the QuickTone editor, but that doesn't mean that there's anything particularly wrong. It's just that when you overtax a system, these things can happen. And it doesn't matter if it's us or if it's Zoom or if it's whatever. And I say Zoom because I'm using a Zoom live track mixer here. So if you happen to see that happen, don't freak out and say, oh my God, the pedal guy's full of crap. He just, it's not working, there's something wrong. No, that's not the case at all. It's just like it's a glitch because of how much stuff I'm taxing on this poor little HP computer that I've been using for the last 4 or 5 years. It probably is time to upgrade, but we'll cross that bridge another time. For the time being though, let's take a look at these presets here. I'm gonna start with your Deluxe Reverb preset here, Kenny. So what would you like to see this one do? And then let's see if we can make that happen for you.
So the clean sound, the default, was really good. It accomplished what I wanted to.
Okay.
Which is, I'm a guitarist, been playing a really long time, and I used to play into a Fender amp, and it sounds like a Fender amp with some reverb. And no issue with that. You'll notice that I created an S2, which is a lead sound. And my issue with that is that when I would switch to it, my desired output was really going to be a traditional overdriven version of the original sound. And I could never quite get that to work. So what I ended up doing is sticking a distortion pedal in S2 only. So,
okay, so, oh, sorry, go ahead, please.
No, you understand.
All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at this really quick and take a look at where we can make a few adjustments to get our levels matched up a little bit better, and then we'll take it from there. So what I want to do first, before I dig into your preset, is let me go back to one that I created some time back called the TPG Princeton, because it's also based on a Fender amp. Okay, and in this case also there is a scene 2. And I designed this one to be more of like a Who sort of preset, so if you wanted to do some of those, you can get those really nice Townsend sounds. But there are a few things here that bear some similarities. But one place that you'll want to look at here is up here in the top portion of the preset, the master volume here, where you can make a few adjustments. Now, if you go through like all of the other adjustments we have here, all the other presets, you can see it pretty much stays right there in the middle. You never want to like say reef it all the way to the top. Probably just want to bring it back to about 50%, which is pretty much where you're at with your preset there. So there's nothing wrong there that I can see. Where I think we would start making some adjustments would be with the amp. Let's take a look at the amp here really quick. And what I want to do is I'm going to actually change the amp, and then I'm going to change it back to Deluxe Reverb. Okay, there we go. All right, so that actually... Okay, I see what's going on. So let's take a look at a few of those parameters that we can make a few adjustments to. All right. One thing I can say is that it's got a nice punch to it. What I would probably start out with, and I typically, this is just me, and this is just the way that I work. And let me just make it clear that I'm not the end-all be-all on programming rigs and everything, but I've been doing this for a while, so you kind of know the ins and outs of the MG30 as you work with it. So one thing I do tend to do is just put a little bit of noise gate on. Not a lot, just a little bit, just in case when something gets a little punchy, or you run into, say, noisy electricity or grounded problems, because we've all played those clubs where they don't exactly grasp the concept of how to do proper electrical grounding. You can run into some problems. So I typically put a little bit of noise gate on the preset. And Kenny, by the way, I am going to send these to you when we're done. So don't worry if you miss something. We'll come back to you on it, and we'll make sure you get it. Now, when it comes to compression, as a lot of people know who've been watching my videos for a while, I'm not a big proponent of compression, although a little bit here and there is not a bad thing. My favorite one out of the three is actually the studio compressor. This is the one that I like personally myself. I think it sounds really good for what it is. You know, so we can do something with that in a few minutes, but for right now, I'm just going to bypass it. And we'll get to the effect in just a minute. But I want to take a look at the amp primarily first here, and a couple places that we can make a few changes here. So one thing is, if we want to really bring it up a bit, the power amp section, because you see master's already pretty much at 9. You don't want to go too hard on that, and you want to keep it clean, so you want to keep the gain down in the lower levels. Okay, because otherwise if you turn up the gain, you're going to get something that, ooh, good Lord, sorry about that. That sounds a little too out of whack. So I'm going to keep that around 2. And I am going to bring the treble up just a little bit. And the reason I like doing that is I like to create a nice little scoop in the EQ curve. So it sounds good at almost every pickup position. So that was the bridge. Now if I'm in the neck. By the way, I was brought up on Fender amps. Those were my amps when I first started going. So when I first started learning how to play all the way back there in the 80s with stretchy pants and teased up hair. Well, I didn't have stretchy pants or teased up hair, at least not yet. But there are some high school photos I wish didn't exist. But don't we all have those? Let's see. And by the way, guys, I can see all the questions coming in, so please keep them coming. Don't worry. There is no such thing as a dumb question. I encourage the camaraderie. Okay, continuing on here. Bias is also bias and level with the power amp. I want to keep that bias right at about 60 to 70%. I get a nice, maybe even dial back a little bit more on that, say between 50 and 60. All right, and then pull that level back. Okay, so we get a nice punchy sound. So if we go from the neck to the bridge, okay, still getting a little bit of distortion, and that could be just playing with the master a little bit here and there. But another place that I always like to look at, and also, by the way, while we're doing this, you do want to make sure that you save your presets as you go. If you don't do it, well, you know, you get what you get. But that sounds pretty good. What do you think, Kenny? How's that sound?
It sounds good. Now, the fact that it has a little bit of breakup in there, that's okay, because it's a tube amp. Right,
exactly right. And that's what, the bias is all about on the power amp, guys. It's about pushing the tubes. Because I saw a question about that. So we can talk about that a little bit more. But another thing that I like to do, and this is just a personal preference of mine, is I like to think of the microphones also as a source of equalization. Because each microphone that we've included with the MG30 is always going to sound a little different. And no matter what, because I mean, they're different microphones, they're different manufacturers, they're different, different sorts of tonalities. So if we go to, like, say, a dynamic 421, you know, that's not half bad. Now, what I'm also going to do here, because one thing that does drive me crazy is having to keep going back to the, keep going back to the QuickTone editor and right-clicking. Would I rather just use a dial to do that? Wouldn't that be better if we could do that? Well, hey there, hi there, ho there. Guess what we can? What we can do is we can just go to the, wrong one there. Okay, what we can do is we can just go into the preset, and we can go over to the cabinet, and I have to look over my camera here for a second. Let me go there. Ah, there we go. Okay, so we can just use the first knob there to start changing the microphone. And you can, well, you can't see it now because we're in a small screen, but it starts changing. We can change the placement of the microphone with the second knob. So we can have that go from center to off axis. So let's first find a microphone that may suit the sound a little bit better. Okay, so there's the 421. Here's the SM57. Okay, now this is my personal favorite. This is the U87. Huh, I'm not hearing anything. That's really weird. How bizarre. Okay, it's there. Ah, here we go. Oop. There, okay. Made a little. Ah, there we go. Okay. Yep. Okay, the cabinet was off. Okay, let's make sure we bring that back. Save what we're doing. Let's actually bring the level up a little bit. Okay, good. Now let's go ahead and find our microphone here. Whoop, that's not what we wanted to do. There we go. That's what we want to do. Okay, so let's start again with that. So the dynamic 421. Okay. Here's the SM57. Here's the U87. And that one sounds just, that's one of my favorites. This is the Royer 122. So it's ribbon mic. Okay. The 121. The C414, AKG, and let's see, the C3000. Okay, and then a B52. Now, personally, I stick with the U87 because it gives me a nice round sound. What do you think of that?
I like it, and
All right,
I like
cool.
the concept of round. Right? It's like at its worst, the stuff is too thin, but it sounds fat.
Right, exactly. That's what we want to do, is fatten up the tone. So the other thing we can also do is we can change the mic placement. So you see how that doesn't sound quite, it's off axis, so it doesn't sound quite as focused. It almost sounds a little muddy. So if we bring it back one position, that's a little bit better. Or we just keep it back where it was in dead center. All right. All right. I think we got a good sounding amp there. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. I mean, it was pretty good as is, but the fattening, because I don't understand mic placement, or mics so much. I left it as what was default.
Right.
And I know SM57s, I just stayed with it, but I think what you chose is definitely better.
I think it's, yeah, I think that's going to give you a better tone overall there. But let's take a look at the next spot. Now, we'll talk about overdrive in a bit here, but let's talk about a couple other places where you can enhance, but you can also get yourself into some trouble. And definitely one of those spots is the EQ section, because the EQ is hot, especially the 6-band EQ. This is the Boss-like one. And if you're not careful here, you can really get yourself into a pickle with overdrive, or actually digital distortion, which is kind of what you don't want to do. For example, this is like a little Happy Meal going on here, where we can take something from this to this. So see, it's got a bit more brassiness to it, but it does stand out a little nicer. And pull the levels back just a touch. But you see how you don't really have to actually do that much in order to get that sound. You can actually pull the level back just a tad so that you still get the bite without overdriving and distorting. So turn it off. Just adds a little bit more to the, it just adds a little bit more to the bottom and the top there. Bring it back about a decibel. So there's without and then with. In fact, I'd actually bring the bass down a little bit there. And by the way, you can do this with the wheel on your mouse. So if you're using like a wireless mouse and you're using the wheel on it, you can just navigate the mouse to any of these various controls, and you can actually just pull it back, or do it a little bit at a time. So you can make very nice small adjustments to get that overall effect. So let's continue on, but of course, before we go any further, make sure you save those presets, everybody. Now, send and return. Obviously, we're not using it in this case. But Kenny, this is another place where you can run into a little bit of digital distortion when you're building a preset. So what I've always done is advised everybody, if they're going to start working with, the send and return, like where you're going to incorporate a favorite pedal into your MG30. I always tend to pull the send and return back a little bit, just to make sure that I'm not overdoing it on the signal path, because sometimes when you do incorporate the send and return, it's just like Distortion City all the way until you make a few adjustments, especially on the send. But we don't have to actually do that today. Okay, so we have modulation, and this preset didn't have modulation, but we can certainly add it in if you'd like. It didn't have any delay either, but we can certainly add that if we want to. I do love that. I do love that delay. It's a nice one. Now the spring reverb, this one sounds really good where it is, I think. I tend to get a little conservative on my reverb, not because I don't like reverb. I love reverb so very much. But I don't want it to take away from the overall focus of the sound. So I'm going to suggest maybe dialing that back just a tad to something like this. And I think you'll get a lot of success out of that. Let me save it too while we're at it. Hey Kenny, by the way, did I mention you're getting a shirt out of this? Did I mention that? We have a whole bunch because he's been such a good sport. We have a whole bunch of polos coming that I've designed for our dealer base out here in North America, and I've got one with your name on it, buddy.
I would be happy to be a walking advertisement.
Well, it looks classy. It's a nice polo shirt with the logo embroidered on it, so it should be good. Got a lot of our pedal guy people here. How y'all doing? Don't worry, I see everybody. I see all the questions. They're all, let's see. Well, we don't have anything there yet because it hasn't refreshed yet, but I do see all the questions. Like this gentleman here, who was kind enough to tell me that the cab sim block was off. So thank you for that little tip. That helps a little bit when we're going through all of this. Okay, so let's focus now on scene 2. So let's go over to scene 2, and let's make sure that we're copying everything we had here. So we didn't have the cab block on. Let's bring that back. Let's bring the EQ back as well. Turn that on. Let's bring the noise gate. But you see why this is why we would want the noise gate at this point. You hear the noise?
Yeah.
Aside from also hearing my wife in her office down the way there. We both work from home, so see, it's quiet as a mouse now. Okay, so I think what you're trying to do is you want to warm it up, or is it?
I wanted to warm it up, and I wanted to have a lead variant of the original tone that was not too much boost, where if I was playing single line, they cut through.
Okay. I think we can do that. I think we can actually make that happen. Oh yeah, I got a great way to do that. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go to the effect. Now, if I'm warming something up, I tend to not stick with distortion too much. Sometimes, well, let's not use a booster for this, but let's try the morning drive. What we'll do is we'll bring that drive up. We'll bring the tone right about yaw. All right, we'll pull that volume back a little bit. I think we can actually turn the tone back a little bit because I've been introducing a lot of brassiness with the amp and with the EQ as well. But you see, it gives you a little bit more in your dynamic range. What do you think about that?
I like it. It sounds better than Distortion Plus. And remember, what I was kind of going for was the classically overdriven sound that you would get if you cranked a gain and lowered the master volume on a traditional channel switching amp.
Right. And that's exactly what this is kind of doing here. Morning drive is really wonderful sounding overdrive because now we have that nice oversaturated sound, whereas before we could actually go a little harder on the drive, in fact, just to give it a little more of a punch. Something like that. What do you think?
Yeah. Play some single lines. Play some single lines.
Okay.
And if you don't mind, can you just switch back and forth between S1 and S2?
Sure. Let me save. And let me make also sure that we're going. Yeah, we did it. Okay, good. You did it already. You already set it up for scene 1, scene 2. That's good.
Yeah, I love that much.
Okay, so scene 1. Oh, whoops. You know what? Went a little too fast there on scene 2. I didn't save it with the preset on. Okay, so here we go. One more time. Scene 1. Scene 2. That's got a nice punch to it. What do you think?
Yeah, it's good. It's definitely better than what I had.
Now, you wanted a third, did you want a third option here?
Well, I was trying to keep it simple, but show it.
Okay, well, you wanted to maybe boost a little bit for a lead variation.
Yeah.
What we could do here is we could simply turn this into a secondary drive, and we could do that over here for scene 3. So scene 3, we would have, well, first we have to go back in and make sure that we're...
I had turned off S3 for that preset, so that's probably the issue.
Working on that now. Okay, scene 1 on.
Because I just was looking for a toggle.
Sure, of course.
So if we do S3, so the control panel then becomes, it's going to cycle through, right? You're going to go 1, 2, 3, back to 1.
Correct. It'll just be 1, 2, 3, and then back to 1. So you can try it, and then if you don't like it, you can always switch it back. That's easy enough. All right. My sales reps are calling me right now. Never a dull moment, right? Okay, so let's... That's lo-fi. That's lo-fi is what that is. Okay, bring that in. Bring the EQ back in. Let's bring in the spring reverb. Okay, so now this is what scene 3 sounds like. So let's save it. And then let's just toggle through it really quick. So scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. Okay, obviously scene 3 doesn't sound anything differently because I haven't added in the effect yet. So what you can do, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, Kenny, is that you can actually double stack. The modulation can toggle between modulation and the effects block. So if you want to introduce, say, a boost prior to the overdrive, you can do that. So you actually get 2 for the price of 1. And what we can do, we can keep the gain, right? Keep the gain at a pretty low, but then bring the volume up. And in these cases, I don't want the boost actually changing
the tone.
I don't want the boost actually changing the tonality of the EQ curve because I'm pretty happy with that. Can actually bring the gain back even further, like as the lowest you can go with here, and then bring that volume up and just make the volume, just make it a big giant clean volume knob, right? But if you want to play like lead tones, it does sound a little brassy though, so I'm gonna bring the volume back just a little bit. I'm gonna bring the treble back a little bit. So this is what we had before. And this just gives you a little bit more over it, just to have a little fun if you want. And another place you can also go to is you could go to the delay and just put a little delay in there. I tend to go with the tape echo. And with a low repeat. And
so when you're playing and you're adding in a delay, do you?
Yeah, I'm just adding a little bit of a delay on the third scene.
Right. And are you not dealing with the tempo at this point?
No, I'm not dealing with the tempo. I'm trying to think old school, like I'm just trying to think about like not slapback, but just a little something something there, just to give it a little more aural definition, if you will. Because if we're going to talk about doing this for a delay, and that actually is not bad. bring the level down a bit, and let's save it at this point. And then what we'll do is just...
Well, didn't you just save that to S1? I think you did. No,
No, it's only on save. No. What happens is when you're working on the scene, okay, and if I make any adjustments here, and then I save it, it's just going to automatically toggle right back to scene 1 after it's done saving. So what's happened now is we have 3 scenes. So what we've done is we've built scene 1, scene 2,
Yep.
and then scene 3. So you can have the scene, you can just use the scene 3 or not. It depends on you. If you want to ever turn that off, let me show our viewers how to do that. Little cute trick here, guys. So let me toggle back here. I'm going to go back to my MG30 here. I'm going to use the rotary encoder. Press and hold down, and this is where my 4 destinations are. So you can do this from the QuickTone editor as well, but you use the 4th knob here, and you select where you want the destination to go. In this case, scene. Then press it, and then you can choose between scene 1, scene 3 on, or scene 3 off. And when scene 3 is off, what this means is that when you're back on the top window here and you're going through the different scenes, it goes scene 1, scene 2, and then it toggles back up to scene 1. But if you have it turned to on and then go back, you can go scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, and then it pops back to scene 1. So I actually did a YouTube short on that earlier this week, which was kind of funny. I've been doing shorts again because shorts are now, they've made some improvements on YouTube for YouTube shorts. So when somebody sends me a question, I can actually now answer it with the video with a YouTube short instead of just typing out a bunch of blah, 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 which is kind of neat when you think about it. All right, so I'm going to keep it with the scene 3 in when I send it to you, and then you can, work with it or,
Oh, no, it's good.
Okay. So we got a nice clean tone. Then we can move to a nice distorted tone. And then we have a nice kind of leadish sort of tone there. And of course, the other thing you can do, and I'm sure you know this, is you can just move anything around you want. So if, let me swap the windows out here really quick, and then we'll move on to the next preset. But if you wanted to, for some bizarre reason, put the reverb before the amp, you can do that. Oh, what happened there? Oh, there it goes. Okay, my mouse was just goofing off on me. Okay.
How much of an impact does doing what you just did have?
In what way?
From a tone perspective.
Well, if you put the reverb, say, at the beginning before the amp, what's going to happen is the reverb is going to go into the preamp of the amp and the EQ section and all of that. And so what you get is, that means that the reverberation is going to get almost triple amplified to a certain degree. Okay, so we got before the amp, it sounds very closed, kind of nasally. And it gets even worse if, like, say we went over here and like turned on, the distort. Whoop, nope, that's not what I wanted to do. All right, let me jump back. There we go. Bring it back over here, and then let's say turn back on the overdrive. You don't want that sound. Put the reverb over here. I know it's a little hard to hear, in a studio, in an online environment, but it does make a difference. So I always recommend putting the reverb all the way at the end of the signal path along with the delay. But everybody, the reality is there are no rules when we do this. You just do what works for you, and if you like the tone, then stick with it.
But there's so many possible variants. It's almost like it's better to stick to some template of your approach. Otherwise, you can just completely go down the rabbit hole.
Oh yeah, I know. And that's absolutely one of the that's absolutely one of the things that I always profess to people when they're going through it. It's just try to keep it simple. I don't go for the full KISS, keep it simple, stupid. I just say keep it simple. So what I mean is, know your fundamentals before you start. So fundamental one, get a good, you select an amp that you're familiar with the tonality of it. Two, the cabinet that you start with doesn't necessarily need to be the same one. You could go for a completely different cabinet and it will give you an absolutely different sound. And I just say keep an eye on your levels as you're building it, because just remember that every module you enter into your signal path takes you that closer to distorting, which is what you want to try to avoid at all costs, of course. So what we'll do here is we've switched to your jazz chorus. Now, what is the intention of the jazz chorus in this case?
I wanted to get something that was as close to a jazz-y, fat, non-distorted, clean, but warm sound.
Okay.
So, and I mean, just choosing that as is, just I knew back 30 years ago, or actually 40 years ago when this amp came out, people like Joni Mitchell used this amp, and it was a way to get a nice chordal back, foundational sound. So that's what I was after.
Good. Yeah. Well, that's exactly.
Yeah.
It's a nice, really nice sound,
Yeah, and it sounded really good right away, and then when I added the chorus into it for S2, it sounded nice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, well, let's make a couple of adjustments here. I think it sounds pretty good as is already. I'm a big fan of the bright channel myself. Not everybody likes that, but I do like the bright channel. But I'm going to add a little. We're going to add a couple. Now, does this one? Let's save it too, because I turned the cabinet on. I want to make sure I save it with the cabinet. This has got okay. So this is a scene 1, scene 2 again, and I see you already turned on a chorus, so that's a good sign. Let's start with this first one. And so what I'm going to do first also is I'm going to turn off the reverb because I want to go back to just the amp and just focus on the core of the sound first. So I think I would personally give it a little more treble myself and maybe just a tad more bass, depending on...
Yeah, and I think the thing I learned too is I actually didn't have the guitar I ended up using with it. And so I set it up with a different guitar, and it's very different, right? So there's variations that you have to adjust for based on the instrument, which is obvious.
Absolutely. Let's keep saving as we go along here. Now, let's take a look at the microphone. And actually, I'm going to swap the screen out here again and go into the screen here and do it from here, because I like to use it with a knob rather than just a bunch of right clicks, because I want to keep playing while I'm selecting a different microphone. So let's start all the way at the beginning, which actually is the one was on before, which is the Dynamic 421. Yeah, the SM58 is not, or SM57 is not the ideal microphone if you're trying to create a nice jazzy tone. And this is where, this is the U87. You can see now this is where I might actually vary and get away from the U87 because it's almost completely muddied the tone.
Yeah, it's like muffled.
Yeah. But you see how the ribbon mics, They're good. The C414. Okay. The C414 sounds pretty decent. Let's see. Yeah, no, I don't like the B52 for this. You know what? I think I'm going to stick with what you had before. I think I'll stick with the 421. And I think I'll go just a little off axis in this case. And let's see. Now, one thing you can also do, I'm not going to do it here, but one thing you can also do is, whoopsie, let me go back and swap those out. One thing you can also do is you don't, and this is the other beautiful thing about it, is that you don't have to pigeonhole yourself into the cabinet. You could just go with, you could go with the one that's assigned to the amp that you're selecting, the default, which in this case is a JC120. It's a 212 cab. It's a 212 cab. But you could, if you wanted to, change it to something completely different. But I want to keep this as clean and pristine as possible, so I'm not going to do it here. But I will do it in a minute because I did get a couple questions about how to load impulse responses into the MG30, and I want to show everybody how to do that. So I might go back to one of my other presets and make that happen. But let's keep going on at this point. So obviously, before we go any further, make sure you save. Now, this is a place where I would say you do want to have a compressor. You do want to have a compressor here. So I'm going to turn a compressor on. But as you can hear, that all the dynamics are completely gone. Now it's coming back a little bit. So tend to just... This may not work. Who knows? If you turn the ratio all the way up, you're going to get nothing but punch. But bring that threshold up. So here's what we had before. So it's just giving us a little bit of extra punch. So when we're in the neck position, and let's say I turn that reverb back on. Maybe if I got those chords right.
It's funny. I really love the sound of this reverb.
It is a beautiful reverb, isn't it? That is a nice one.
What is it modeled on?
This is a Lexicon Reverb.
It's really good.
And I can hear a little fuzz. I can hear a little noise going on there too. So just a little bit of noise gate. So it doesn't get in the way. Okay. So what do you think of that sound?
I like it. I never quite understood how to really control a compressor or a noise gate. And so like what you're demonstrating is just like very, very subtle.
Yeah, that's the thing about compression. People overuse compression way too much. It drives me bonkers because it can kill all the dynamic range if you're not careful. And it's quite troublesome when people do it. I don't recommend it as a common practice. That's why I always use it very sparingly in my presets, unless it's something you're doing like a specific sort of sound design idea. Like if you do a really tight compression where it's just punching right there at the attack, and then you put it into like say a reverse delay and do some wankiness with it, with that and the damp reverb, then yeah, totally, that's gonna that serves its purpose, obviously. But in this case here, I'm just using it just to kind of beef up the overall sound just a touch, but not going over the top. In fact, one could say I could pull the ratio back. Whoop. Actually, one could say I need to put the ratio back up. Right about there, which is not bad. Maybe bring the threshold down. Nope, see, I don't like where that is, so let's try that again. Bring it back up. Bring the release back. Well, you can play with it, but this is the compressor I always go with whenever I'm working inside the MG30. That's the one I always like to talk about. Okay, so let's move on to scene 2. So in scene 2, you have the difference between scene 1 and scene 2 is you have the chorus on. So let's do this first. Let's get everything back on that needs to be on.
So if you are building an S2 or an S3, it will, when you go to S2 and S3 by default, it will carry over what was there before, whether it's on or off from a setting perspective?
Well, the settings will stay the same.
Until you change them.
Yeah, that won't change, but it's just simply turning off and on various signal blocks inside the path.
Yep.
Is all you're doing. So the chorus, the stereo chorus is really nice.
Yeah.
Let me just play with a couple of the other ones here just to give everybody a little bit of a variation here. See, it's almost like too much.
Yeah, after going through all of them, this one sounded the most open and clear.
Right. You want it nice and you want it. See, I saw it, let's see, several years ago. In fact, I even have the autographed program over there. I saw Joe Pass play at my local church. He did a gig there because I guess one of his ex-wives was one of the members of that church, and I must have been the youngest person there because I was an up-and-coming guitar player and was learning and got into this thing called jazz. I had no idea what was going on there. And he got up there and he did Waves. He played that. And if you've ever seen Joe Pass play, did you ever have the opportunity to see that, Kenny?
I have.
He's something else because he played the bass line along with chords and lead lines on top of that. It was something else to watch that dude. And he went. The only thing that drove me crazy is he went so over the top with the chorus sometimes. He did a cover of Billy Joel's "Just the Way You Are." I don't know the chords, but he was using the way too much chorus at one point. It was just like wah wah wah. But of course, this was like 1990, I think. If I remember correctly. So technology wasn't so great at the time like it is now, where you can make these changes to all the various parameters and really tweak it out nicely. The other thing, of course, I remember is when he was tapping his foot too, and he got a little too excited, and he kicked the amp, and it had the old spring reverb in there. We got this big from the spring reverb, and all he could do is he just kept playing like a champ, but he was looking up going, "What the hell?" It was the best. So I'm actually going to keep it right where it is. I think that sounds really nice. Especially with like if I go to the bridge. So if you Rush fans, of course. We're going to probably get we're gonna probably get nixed on
You'll
Facebook
get
there.
pulled down.
Let's see. Another thing you can also do is you can also go into parallel mode, and this is a place where you can make a few adjustments to the way the sound is processed in either serial or parallel mode. So right now you're in serial mode, which means that the chorus is going right into the delay, or right into the reverb, I should say. But if you change that, and let's say you go to parallel mode, in this case it doesn't do anything because you don't have any delay turned on. But if you had the delay turned on, you get two signals that are then summed sent to the reverb, which you can do that here. You can also do it after the delay as well. So you can have the chorus, the delay, and the reverb in parallel mode, where they're all individually processed and then resummed. So it can lead to some very interesting sound design options if you choose to go that way. In this case, it doesn't do anything for us because we're just using a delay, and we're using a chorus, and we're using a reverb, which is absolutely fine the way it is. I don't think you need to change anything more at that point. You know what I should have done in thinking about all this, Kenny, is I should have created a duplicate of each one of your presets so that we could hear before and after.
I bet I can do that.
There you go. So let's go back to the top window here. Let me go back over to the app there. Okay. Okay, so here's where we did run into the problem. Okay, so in scene one, we want to turn off the chorus. Scene two, we want the chorus on. So I'm going to go ahead and actually save that now, so that when we toggle back and forth, the chorus is off, and now it's on. So we got that, and then let's go back to the old one. So we have some really different sounds here now, don't we? But by doing all of that, if I now go to say, let's go to one of the default presets here. So if I go from here, listen for the volume now, okay? And now I'm gonna jump up to LT. It's about the same. It's not, it's actually a little louder, in fact. So if I scroll back over and go, it actually has a little more punch. It has a little more punch than the ones that were already there.
Well, go to 2C, because that one is pretty hot.
Yes, this one is pretty hot. Okay,
So
this one.
why don't we talk about how you would deal with the situation? Because this one is really nice.
Yeah. Wow, that one's burning there. Let's first do this. Let's first pull that power amp back a little bit, because this is where you do need to be a little mindful of the overall volume. Because if you look up here, if you look on the master volume here, where I'm at, it's right there dead center. So if I scroll back to your other preset, you can see it actually went down a little bit.
Right.
And we brought it back up. It's actually even louder at this case. So what you could do, because if we look at the master, the amp. We're taking a look now at the Deluxe Reverb amp, and I'd actually pull that back a little, the master back just a little bit. But another thing that could also be leading to the distortion is just having the EQ on. It's very slight, like minute, but you can hear it. That it's not actually doing much to the EQ curve, but it's actually boosting the volume just a touch. And so you do want to be mindful of that. But this would be a good place to, kind of let our hair down, so to speak, Kenny. And perhaps, I don't have much hair these days to let down anymore. But this is a place where we could have a little bit of fun with the cabinets. So what do you say we have a little fun with it?
Ain't never going to have too much fun.
You can never have too much fun, of course. So I am going to first turn off the effects just so we can start playing Jane. So again, this is about that whole, let's go back to basics and let's define the sound, and then after that, get a little flamboyant. So I'll actually turn off the compression. I'm going to turn off the noise gate. And now we're just going plain Jane here. So I like the Deluxe Reverb right where it is. But here's the beautiful thing about it. You can use any cabinet you want. You don't have to stick with a Fender cabinet. You can go with a completely different one. For example, we could go to a Vox if we wanted to, a Vox AC30. That doesn't sound too bad. You can go a little Fab 4 on everyone, or you could go to a twin reverb. Oh, did you hear that? So here's where we were. Here's where we went. So there is a huge difference, obviously, aurally speaking, when you go from a 112 cabinet to, say, a 212 cabinet. There's going to definitely be a lot more going on there. I haven't seen anybody chatting in a while. Where are you guys? I don't see nothing new. Am I blowing your mind that much that say hi, say I'm still here, I'm still alive, pedal guy. Let me know what's going on there. I do see a little bit of chatter here going on there, like my friend here, direct recording guitar YouTube channel okay, and he's giving me a little fist bump there. Thank you very much. We just wanted a quick one here real quick. Stephen Whitney, I play a lot of music for church, and I like the NUX, but I wish I could get some more effects, but I hope NUX makes an updated version of the MG30. I do want to address that very quickly, and we'll go further in here. All right, Roger, I see you there, buddy. There is going to be an update to the MG30. There's been this ridiculous thing going around. I don't want to call it a rumor or anything like that. I mean, what are we, 5 years old here? But a lot of users have kind of said there's not going to be any more updates, or where's the updates? Well, if you haven't noticed lately, a lot of products keep coming out from us. We just released all of the mini cores. We have a lot of other stuff on the way, guys. The MG400, for example, just came out. Maybe you were with us last week when I did my live stream on that, and of course this guy, the Mighty Plug Pro. But we have absolutely not lost our focus on the MG30, and you can be assured that there is another update coming. I'll even tell you there's another update coming out for the MG300 if you're one of those users. So don't worry, we haven't forgotten about you. It's just that we're not, hammering them out as fast as we can. But there is another update that is planned for later in the year. Could come out around, it could be a Christmas present. I'll put it that way. It's going to be this year, but it'll probably be, my guess is going to be December, but it just depends on how much other stuff is coming. I mean, if I can't even tell you what's coming from the drum side of things without letting too many cats out of the bag. And I'm not even a drummer, but I can tell you that if I were a drummer, it would be pretty exciting stuff. So there's more stuff coming, and you will see it soon. And there's even a new pedal coming that I can't talk about it yet, but I promise that you're going to be very impressed. But don't worry, everybody. We're going to do more updates for the MG30. You know how many hundreds of users, how many thousands of users there are out there of this guy? We don't let people flounder. We keep developing.
So when you say updates, you're talking firmware, or you're talking about a new hardware?
Yeah, no, like a new firmware. Like, actually, this would be a really good time to address the question I keep getting. and then we'll go to it. You can. Sorry, my dog is misbehaving there in the other room.
Oh, we can't hear the dog. It's
we just adopted another dog, so very cute one. And I want to address this really quick. There are no plans for an MG40. A lot of people keep asking about an MG40. So please, I'm actually going to put myself up here front and center for a second. I don't like to normally do that when I have all these things
read my
going on.
lips.
There is no MG40 coming that I am aware of. Please stop asking me. How's that? Is that about as direct as we can get?
And you're not
okay.
Jack.
Well, we gotta. Sometimes, we want to let people know. We want to be as open as possible, but you can keep asking the same question every which way, and well, it is what it is. Let's go here and let's go to the cabinet. This is where I'm going to stick with this Twin Reverb 212. I know it's a little brassy, but we're gonna have a little fun with it. So let's do what we do with the microphones, and let's find a microphone. Oh yeah, listen to that. I do love me a good ribbon microphone. This is one of those moments I wish I knew the Beavis and Butthead theme song. That would have been great. Let's take a look at the placement though. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with that. So what I did, let me switch screens here again. So what I did is I changed the cabinet. So I went from the 112 Deluxe Reverb cabinet, I went to the 212 Twin Reverb cabinet. So it got a lot more direct, a lot more brassy, and sort of lost a little bit of its definition. But a lot of that can be reintroduced with just changing the microphone. And so I changed to a Royer ribbon microphone here, the 121, and we got a nice sound out of that. What do you think of that, Kenny?
I like it, and it just didn't occur to me that something as subtle as adding a 212 cabinet instead of 112 would make that much of a difference, but it does.
Oh, it makes an enormous difference. It's amazing. Not to go too far off the beaten path here, but it's amazing where people, they never understand how good they've got it now. Compared to, like, say, years past, where it's like you just had that one amplifier and you had to get every frickin' tone you could get out of that one amplifier. If I just do a little bit here, a little bit there, I get a totally different tone. Kind of like get as granular as, like, say, somebody like Jeff Beck, who he squeezes tone out of, he could squeeze tone out of a pig nose amp. I mean, that guy just is amazing. But the thing is that we're so lucky now to have these opportunities where we can actually just change out the cabinet. We can just go for a completely different cabinet, and yes, it will absolutely change the sound. If I go to, say, I have a Laney impulse response I could bring in here, I get a completely different tone out of that. But that's the beauty of all of this. So I'm going to stick with that though, and I'm actually going to pull the gain back just a tad. Just a tad. Okay, so that gives us a really good basic sound to build upon. So going back to what I've said before, start with the fundamentals and then grow it out. Okay, otherwise, if you're just going to go, well, I absolutely have to start with the compressor, and I absolutely have to start with a reverb and all that, you'll get lost in the weeds so fast. We'll have to do episode 2 immediately. So let's go now to our reverb. Let's turn that guy on. That is beautiful, isn't it? Let's see, did he have anything going with... Okay, so there was a scene 2 here. Okay, we'll stick with scene 1 for now. Let's see, do we want any modulation? Nah, we don't want any modulation here. But we do want that noise gate. We don't necessarily have to have the compression. We could have something else if we wanted to. I think it sounds good without it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it sounds good.
Okay. So if I save it, let's just see how it stacks up against the other preset before, volume-wise. So we go back one. All right, so that's, volume matching. This is where we don't actually have to change anything really except maybe the master volume on this patch. Just to pull it back just a tad so that when we jump from our previous patch, we're not going from something that sounds, it's loud, but we want to go from that to like that. You kind of want it to be as clean and neat as possible. Obviously, there will be aural differences between the two, but you don't want to overstep. So that seems nice and even. Not to say you can't blow their mind every so often and come up with something interesting there. But let's take a look at the scene 2 and see what Jonk did here. I'm going to stick with my previous statement about the compression. We don't need that. So the Morning Star is on. Let's actually take a look at this. What else could we try? How about we try something different? What do you think?
You're driving.
All right. Let's try the Blues Driver. Let's see what that sounds like. I just want to warm it up. I'm going to warm it up but not overtake it. So that's a good way to start. We could also go to the Steel Singer. That's also another... This one gets really strong. How about that? Let's do that.
I like it.
It's a really nice overdrive. Now, does it sound exactly like a steel string singer? I don't know. I don't have $30,000 to go try a steel string singer. All right, so this is one we might want to... I do like digital delay. I am a big fan of digital delay, but one of my favorites is the pan delay. Nah, let's do duo time. Turn the repeats down. Maybe change the... What I'm doing with it, Kenny, is I'm using the delay as a means to open up the sonic plate, or maybe the landscape, if you will, the soundscape. But I'm making sure that it's not going to overtake everything else that I'm playing. So that was on the bridge. Let's take a look at the neck. What do you think?
I like that.
Cool.
And for me, the whole problem with delay is always about getting it so that it's not overtaking the sound.
Right. You can get lost orally speaking pretty quick in all of that. So this is where we might get a different sound if we go from serial to parallel. Let's take a look. So if we're in serial mode, that really doesn't do much here in this case. If we were using some modulation on top of this, that might do something there. We do have a wah pedal. We can always use that if we want to. We don't have to really in this case, but that's always an option for us. And you know, I mentioned a little earlier, I mentioned where you can make the changes to the control assignments on the MG30 from the QuickTone editor. It's right up here in the upper right corner, expression and pedal. So up here you have everything you could possibly need. So you've got your drum and loop, so you can use this to trigger the looper if you want to, and the drum machine, where you can set up to stereo or mono, normal record versus auto record, all that fun stuff. And then from here you can also change the different control assignments. So that's where you would do it. So you could either do it from the MG30 itself, which some people prefer to do that. Like for example, if you're here and you want to do it from the MG30, you just use the rotary encoder, press and hold down, and that'll get you to the control settings. Or you can do it from the editor either way. So it just depends on whatever floats your boat. But oh, there we go. Any case, there you have it. Good. Okay, so we have the Santana lead, so we can try to punch this one out. I was even listening to Europa a little bit just so I could try to get that sound. I was not successful at it, but still, you can have all kinds of fun because you can have all the gear in the world, ladies and gentlemen. You can have everything that Eric Johnson has in his rig on your rig. And guess what? You're not going to sound totally like Eric Johnson because there is only one Eric Johnson, and a lot of that comes from right here, from the right and left. And the same thing goes for Santana. Carlos Santana is all about the tone from the fingers. Fingers. So,
and this one sounded really good, straight up. You know, I think my questions to you were more about normalizing it volume-wise across the other patches, right?
Okay.
So, and the reason why I added plus lead is that the S2 has a boost in it.
Good.
But it sounded really good live.
Okay. So let's take a look at the previous. Let's go one ahead. It's actually pretty much right where it needs to be for volume. Let me take a look here what's going on with the amp. Okay, so using, let's add just a little tiny bit of power amp. And I'm going to keep everything else the way it is because I don't want to botch up what you got here because I like the way it sounds. Let's go to scene 2. Actually, that's pretty righteous right there. Let's go back to the...
Yeah, I was surprised at how easy I was able to get to a good place. It was just that normalization-wise, I was having issues.
Yep, I hear you. Let me hold that down there. Hello. There you are. Okay, that's what I wanted. Okay, so you had the red dirt. And that's a good way to go right there, I think. I'm actually going to turn that drive down just a touch. Because you wanted to use that more as a boost, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that'll work. If I only knew any Santana songs to play. Anybody who's watched my channel knows I play like lots of Rush riffs all the time because I'm a Rush head. But I think that's all you need to do here, Kenny, on this one. So let's go back out here. It's pretty normalized right there, right? So go from the semi-clean. Now, one thing I do want to make note of here for everybody is the plate reverb. And this is being used really effectively. The plate reverb, out of the reverbs, you know, the two that I love the most are the spring reverb and the plate. I do of course love the Hall because of course it's that beautiful dreamy Lexicon sound. But this plate reverb is so effective. Even if you're going to play like say some of the if you're going to play like a AC/DC rip. Kind of muck that up a little bit, but that was one of the more recent riffs from AC/DC. But don't they all pretty much sound about the same? Prove me wrong. The guy's been playing in E, A, and B since the 70s. Yet every time they play an AC/DC riff at a Dodger game, everybody goes crazy. Kenny, are you a baseball guy?
I am. I'm a Mets fan, though.
You're a Mets fan. That's because you're from more of the northern part of the East Coast, right?
Yeah. I'm a New Yorker.
New Yorker, right on. Okay. Now I got to. I know it's not the Mets, the Yankees, but I was there once on a trip to New York, a business trip, and my host was good friends with the organ player for the Yankees, and he got us tickets. He got his tickets right behind home plate. Those really expensive tickets that you see on TV and go, how do those people get back there? And it was amazing because I saw A-Rod come up to the plate, and he is larger than life. My Lord, that guy's like a walking tree trunk. And it was amazing to see that happen. Unfortunately, they lost. I forgot who they were playing. I think it was the Blue Jays, actually. But what a stadium! And this was the new rebuilt Yankee Stadium, not the old one that was falling apart. But yeah, that was probably one of my most favorite baseball experiences for sure. But one of our dream vacations one day is to just fly to the East Coast and just drive up the East Coast and hit baseball stadiums all the way up. And just watch a game in every city if we can. I live the dream, Kenny. I have a wife that loves baseball.
Well, as does mine. That's usual evening entertainment.
Then we are both lucky men.
We are. We are.
Okay, cool. So let's just review really quick here. We did 4 presets, and then we're going to turn our attention to some of these questions. Try to get some of them answered here. So we have a Deluxe Reverb. We have a Roland Jazz. We have a semi-clean. And then we have a Santana lead. But I think we actually made that sound better than the original preset. I mean, you did most of it. I didn't do much on this one at all, but this sounds great the way it is.
And it was really good in a band setting, especially like that kind of chunky rhythm stuff. Sounded
Absolutely.
great.
Absolutely. That's another good point. I was one of the videos one of the channels I follow is Spectre Sound Studios. It's this Canadian heavy metal producer. Probably one of the rudest guys I've ever watched on YouTube. He's definitely not somebody, but it's metal after all, right? And if you're doing metal, well, you know, I don't need to say any more than that, frankly. But he did bring up a very good point today on his show. He does a weekly show where he reads viewer comments and he tries to answer the questions. And obviously, sometimes people will ask, idiotic questions or get real in his face about stuff. But he did say something that was very, very true, which was that you got it when you're designing sound on your guitar. Don't think of it so much as how it sounds by itself. Think about how it's going to fit into the mix later, because you could program the best sound in the world. And once you start playing it with the band, you need to be ready to make some adjustments because you have to adjust to the occasion. So it is absolutely something else to keep in mind when you put it all together in a band, because once you add the drums, you add the bass, you add the vocals, and maybe the keyboards as well, you're going to get a much different wall of sound that you have to compete against. And so the job of the guitar player is just to find that niche and get right in there in the overall EQ curve and complement everything else that's happening. So keep that in mind. a little advice there. Okay, I'm actually going to take the guitar off for a sec here. That is a 70s ES335, and unless you're going to try to get it from my cold, dead grip, I'm taking it with me to the grave. Okay, let's ditch these for the moment. Let's just come on up, and here we go. Now we're bigger. Everybody can see us. Hi, everybody. All right, so what I'd like to do at this point, Kenny, and you're welcome to hang with me while I do this part. If you have other things to do, no problem, but I will send these presets to you. And I'll also, when I get the shirts, I'm going to send you a polo.
Thank you very much. You did all the things I wanted you to do, and I appreciate you having me on.
You're very welcome. All right, Kenny, you have a good one, and we will see you later, buddy.
All right, cool. Bye.
All right. So there you go. That's the whole idea of Ask NUX. I'm here to help you answer your questions, and I'm going to be asking again for somebody else to come on board. So come on with me to a session, and we will work one-on-one, but we'll work in this whole environment so that everybody can get something out of it. And I see we got a lot of people still watching. I am not forgetting about y'all. I want to answer some of these questions I've been getting because there's a lot here. I can't bring the chat overlay because this is one of the other challenges about Restream is that for some bizarre reason it doesn't refresh with all the chat that's there unless people start asking questions. But there's a lot of them already here on the sidebar, which I'm going to get to now. And I do, in fact, also I did bring up a lot of questions earlier in the week. I asked everybody to come up with their questions, and so I have them here, and I've selected a few, and I'll bring them up and talk to them about it a little bit here. So why don't I do a couple of those real quick, and then I'll bring some other ones up. Okay, so Nicholas from Piradora from Facebook, from our Facebook page, wanted me to talk about MG30 gain structure. And that's exactly what I did over the course of this entire hour, is that I took Kenny's presets and then I normalized them so that when I'm jumping from preset to preset to preset, you're not getting huge jumps in volume. Now, the way you can fix that very quickly is you can always go to the volume section here and the master volume, and you can change it there, or just make adjustments to, say, the power amp. But as I stated before, when you're adding overdrives and you're adding equalization and you're adding compression and you're adding other modules along the signal path, you're bringing yourself that much closer to overdriving and distorting. So do keep that in mind. that you need to make tiny adjustments. So my advice is always this: start with just the amp and the cabinet. Get a sound that you're happy with there first, and then expand it out. Okay, so just follow those rules, and I promise you, you're gonna be a lot happier with the results. Okay, now Glenn did ask this question, and I did answer it earlier. Is there going to be an MG40? No, not to my best of my knowledge. There will not be an MG40 that I know of right now. Now that could always change, but as I understand it right now, I don't see any plans for an MG40. So there you have it. Okay. Here's a one from Gaston. Facebook. Now, Gaston, I don't know where you are located in the world, but you asked where can you buy a Midi Plug Pro. You can buy a Midi Plug Pro from your local NUX retailer. They were a little slow getting out of the gate. If you want to blame somebody, blame me, because I was complaining and getting everything that I was fighting for every piece I could get here in the United States. So I probably robbed the rest of the world of the Midi Plug Pros a little bit there. But nevertheless, there you have it. But they are shipping out in bulk now as we speak. Okay, here's another question. Any chance they'll add more Stomp boxes to the Amp Academy? To the best of my knowledge, I don't know at this time. I know there will be updates coming for the Amp Academy. And in fact, one of the big updates was that it works with, there's an app now for iOS and for Android so that you can make your edits on your phone, which is so much more convenient compared to taking a computer to a gig. Who wants to do that? Might as well just do it from your phone. It's a lot easier, right? Okay, now I'm going to go back to my chat window here, and I'm going to start answering some questions here. Okay. All right, here's a question. From I have no idea what that is. But could a NUX amp profiler do older Kiss tones? Just making sure. Absolutely, absolutely. You could absolutely recreate the Kiss tones if you want to. I showed you how to do that with the MG300, and if I was able to do it with the MG300, you can bet your ass you can do it with the MG30. So sure, absolutely, no problem. But that's a good question. Very good question. All right, here's a question about how's it going with the MG30 upgrades. The updates, as I mentioned earlier, there is going to be an update. It's going to be coming out later this year. And we're not slowing down our development of the product. Not at all. Still doing it. Okay. All right. Okay, there was another question about updates. All right, here's a good one. Okay, here's a good one right here. So Ramon asks, I want to know if I want to control my MG30 with MIDI automation from my DAW via USB MIDI. I need to change presets automatically on my live performances. Well, Ramon, if you could expand on that a little bit, are you saying how do you intend to change the presets from the DAW? Are you trying to do it through a keyboard command, like you press the C key on your keyboard controller and it changes the preset? Or is it's playing a sequence and you want it to change the preset mid-sequence? If you could let me know, that would be a big help. But yes, it does. We do have MIDI implementation, obviously. If you have the ability, like let me bring the editor back up again here. If you do have the wherewithal, you can. These are all of the various parameters that you can control via MIDI. And if you're doing this from a DAW via USB, I think you're going to get a lot better results than doing it through the doing it the other way. What I mean by that is I think you'll get better results doing it from your DAW than you would from using a USB host and doing all that. It's kind of a backwards way of getting in there. It works. I've shown it actually on a live stream. But it does, it gets confusing. It can get a little confusing. So doing it from your DAW could be a little easier. I'm not sure, but I'm not sure how you're going to do that. But go ahead and expand on it if you'd like to. Okay, here is a question about the Amp Academy. Will the Amp Academy get an app for Android? I believe there already is one, but I'm going to double check while we're on here just to see for myself. So bear with. Let me get over here to Amp Academy. I could have sworn I saw an app for it. Man, I got people calling. Interesting. Wait, let me go up. Take a look-see. I'm looking, guys. Hold on. How odd. You know, I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at that. I will look back on that and see if I can get an answer for you. Okay. See, I noticed in the background there was a Paul McCartney bass. Yep, there's a Hofner sitting right back there. I used to do a little work for Hofner, a little bit. Let me stress the little bit part of that. The guy who handles Hofner here in the United States, his name is Rob Olson. Probably one of my favorite just jammy little guitar players. He's so amazing. We were sharing a house at NAMM, the NAMM show several years back, when I worked for the distributor that one of the brands was Hofner, and he was just noodling around on the couch, and it was just blew my mind, and I was like, I want to be like you when I grow up, and of course we're the same age pretty much, but he's the Hofner guy, and he took that company in the United States, say 20, 30 years ago. Well, 20 years ago. It was pretty close to being a joke, Hofner was, unfortunately. And he took that company and he rebuilt it. And he built the brand equity, and all of a sudden it was cool to have a Hofner again. Yeah, my hat's off to him. His name's Rob Olson. He's like the nicest guy in the industry as far as sales reps go. Sales managers go, he's one of the nicest guys. But I have that bass back there, and I use it proudly. Okay, here's a good question. Did the Rocktree have any updates to it? The Rocktree in its current state is discontinued. The reason being is because we don't have any more chips. So we weren't able to continue to build it. However, you know what that means. Update, update, update. And there is going to be a new Rocktree at some point. I can't tell you specifically when, but I do know that it's on the plan. So I would say 2023, probably the first half of the year is where you're going to see a new Rocktree. It is one of our most popular effects. I love the Rocktree. I get that beautiful deep purple sound out of it. And the octaves, I mean, it's just unbelievable sound out of that. I didn't dig the ugly brown, but it's still, what can I say? Brown's not one of my favorite colors. But nevertheless, the sound you could get out of that thing was just amazing. All right, so these are really great questions, guys. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. This is a good time to ask the questions, and we are going to do more of this. This is the beginning of a series. I want to continue to do Ask NUX. So if you like what you see, do make sure that you show up for the game. Let's see. Chasing Kiss Alive 2. Okay, well, I got that. I kind of got that with the. I kind of answered that already for you there, buddy. Okay. All right, we heard an echo. Boop. Okay, here's a question about the 30. Will there be a MIDI foot switch host for the MG30? Well, not that I'm aware of currently right now. I'm looking for my MIDI host, my MIDI USB host. I'm having a little trouble locating it here. It's somewhere here in the studio. But that's what I had to use. I had to use a USB MIDI host. And you get okay results out of it. I'd like to see an actual controller. I do know that Monk has asked on our forums a few times about the USB host, but we haven't, there's nothing official quite just yet on that. Okay, let's keep going down. All right, Johnny. When I use the MG300 with the Fender amp, the sound sounds thin. Do I need to manually turn? Oh, okay. All right, I see what you're driving at here, buddy. Okay, I am going to answer the question for you. I'm going to do it with the MG. I'm going to do it with the MG30, but the methodology is exactly the same. Okay, so over here, let me bring this over a little bit. I'm going to go to the output mode. So I'm going to toggle over to the output mode. So the MG300 has an output mode as well. Okay, and in fact, I did a video on this on my channel. So if you go onto the Pedal Guy YouTube channel and look for all of the MG300 videos, there's one where the thumbnail says use your amps, and I cover that exact topic. But what you do here is you select the output mode, and you've got different settings here. So you've got Studio Direct, you've got combo front, combo stack front, combo rear, stack rear. And what happens in these instances is the cabinet, the IR is turned off, it's bypassed. So you can go to, if you're in Studio Direct, everything's on. You go to combo front, it's turned off. Stack front is turned off. Combo rear, stack rear. Now, personally, I'm more of a fan of going into the stack rear or combo rear mode, mainly because I want to do all the driving from the MG30 myself. But not everybody feels that way. And when you go into the front of the amp, just remember that you're going to rub an amp into a preamp if you've got the amp turned on the MG300 or 30. So do keep that in mind, because sometimes you'll rub an amp into a preamp and the results can be a little wanky where you get that thin sound. So if you do have an effects return on your amp, try using that mode and see what happens. And let the MG300 do the driving. And you might be surprised what you get out of that. So, good question. I like that question. Okay, and in fact, actually, the next question was from Dan. Can the cab sim be bypassed? Yes. So you can go so you can go to a power amp. Yes, you can absolutely do that. In fact, I did a video about using the MG30 with the 4-cable method. Might try that out and see how that works for you, because that might do the job, because it's in fact what I did is I went to a power amp. So hopefully that will answer your question there. All right, Xavier has been, in fact, let me turn off that window there. Okay, Raven Xavier has been using the pedal on bass, so awesome, good, glad you like it. I think it sounds really good on acoustic guitar too. It has been a lot of fun. Okay. Let's see. All right. Never been able to get my MG30 working with my computer. Can you do a vid where you connect them step by step, please? Okay, well, this is more of a complicated answer, but it doesn't have to be. The easiest way is, if you can, send us a message directly to via Facebook, like or Instagram, use a DM, and or you're coming from YouTube actually, so you can send us a message there too. But send us a message about this particular problem, and what we can do is we can send you a utility that we can run and see what's happening, because what's likely going on here is that there's some sort of blockage. Like there's something in the USB chain that's blocking it from communicating with your computer. Now, one thing I can tell you that I've done personally is that if your computer has a USB-C port, I have a USB-C port here, I actually use a USB-C to USB-C cable. I don't use the USB-C to USB-A cable myself, just to avoid that particular problem. But I get much better results going USB-C to USB-C. Try that and see if that helps you, okay? Okay. Here is a question about the JTC pedal. And this one, it's been a really long time since I've used the JTC. But you're actually using it with the MG30. Okay. I think using it, she said, include in the end of the signal chain, but since this has a mono input, will this will the MG30's output also be mono even with using stereo effects? Well, it depends on where you place it on the signal chain. Now, I do want to make mention of this. The looper and drum machine inside of, well, not the drum machine, but it's pretty close. But the looper is based on JTC technology, the technology you find in the pedal. So where it detects the tempo of what you're playing, and then it'll sync up the drums along with that. So that might actually be a better solution. I'm not sure if that's going to help you or not there, but you might want to try that. Okay, give that a shot. Okay, this was a weird one here, but let's see if I can ask it. If I can answer it. Can you please change the amp change default to cab change thingy? I'm not sure what exactly you want me to do there, but if you could clarify that point, if you're still on with us right now, do clarify please and let me know, and I'll see what I can do. All right. Here's a question from Nomar. Is there an Ottawa available for the new update? Well, there is. There's an Ottawa that was introduced with the last update. It's called the Touch Wah. Actually, it was technically available 2 updates ago, but then there was an update to the update to fix a couple of issues. But yeah, let me show you what it looks like real quick. Here it is. Go over to the effects slot, right click on it, and there it is, Touch Wah. Bada bing, bada boom. So you have a Touch Wah there, and the Touch Wah is also available on the MG400, for anybody who might be wondering. But there you go. I hope that answers your question. Okay, we're just going down the list here, guys. We're just going down the list. Okay. Greetings from Amsterdam. Hello from the United States. When will the hidden amp, the Lone Star, be made available in new firmware? Boy, that's a good question. I'm not sure how to answer that. I will bring it up to the development team and see what we can do about that for the next update. But that's a good question. I haven't actually even used it myself. I've got to get in there and get with it. It's the 5150 show. You know, I remember you, Guy. I remember we had some exchanges in the past. I remember, and you prefer the MG30 over Headrush. Great, cool. Everybody, everybody hears something different and feels something different when they play. And again, that's the beauty of all of this, is that there's so much variability out there that I'm sure that it's got its place. I mean, I love the Headrush too. Don't get me wrong. Anybody who's watched the Pedal Guy channel for the last few years knows that I've done so many videos on the Headrush family of products, and I have to thank InMusic, frankly, for helping me out in the beginning when I first launched my channel. They were the guys that were promoting my channel as I was doing all these videos, and it did help it grow to what it is now. So I owe them quite a bit for that. Okay. Here's a question. Could you explain the operation of the vol in the signal chain, in the effects chain? Yes, of course, absolutely. So the volume is linked to your to the expression pedal. So when you're going to use it as a volume pedal, you can determine the minimum and maximum level determine the minimum and maximum level of the volume of the pedal, and when you use it as a volume pedal. So that's what it's there for. So it's not a huge nothing bigger than that really, but that's what it's there for, Sergio. So I hope that helps you. All right. I do love the retention. We got a lot of people watching, and this is great, guys. Keep the questions coming. I do appreciate it, of course. I've been nursing the same Coke now for an hour and a half, almost 2 hours. Jesus, wow, we really have gone off the deep end here. Okay, here is a good question. Does the foot switch work with the drum and loop section? Now, I'm assuming you mean the NMP2. And, well, let's double check. I'm pretty sure it doesn't, but doesn't hurt to have a quick look-see. So you can go over here to the expression pedal, and number 3 is where the tip ring sleeve connection would be. And yeah, as I suspected, that's not the case here. So you can see that the destinations for the tip and the ring range from the tap to the compression gate and all the other signal blocks. And then the ring does the exact same thing as well. So no, unfortunately, no, it doesn't work that way. But who knows? Maybe it will someday. Could always change. Could always change. All right. There we are, back to our regularly scheduled program. Okay, I answered that one a little while ago. Okay. Oh, here's a good one. This is some commentary here. The 414 has the flattest frequency response. If you want to hear what something sounds like your amp without being use the 414. You know, that's good advice. As I've mentioned, I view the microphone as another source of equalization when I'm designing a sound for the MG30. So I would probably, the C414 is not a bad place to start on that. I personally like starting with the, I like working with the Royer, the ribbon microphone, or the condenser, the U87, the Neumann. But everybody has a different way of getting to the destination. So, but very good advice indeed. Okay. Let's hear some Marshall tones. Well, I don't know if we've got time to do that today, but we'll see what we can do. Okay. Here's one. I wanted to get to this because I did see this while we were going through our shtick there with Kenny. Any news on when the Midi Space is coming out? Very glad to hear about the updates from the... Yeah, okay. That's good. I'm glad you have them. And there are updates coming, so you're in good shape. When is the Midi Space coming out? Okay, the Midi Space is on its way. I think we're going to see it probably by November, is my guess. Maybe sooner. Who knows? But the Midi Space tentatively is set at $449, and it's going after the Yamaha TH series, I think is what it's called. It's kind of going after that that type of product. But I don't know too much about it quite just yet, but it is wireless. So it's just like the Mighty Air in that respect, but it's much bigger than the Mighty Air. So the Mighty Air is about that size. The Midi Space is quite a bit bigger than that. And it even has a strap button on it as well. So you can strap it and carry it with you if you want to. So that should be coming at some point. Okay. All right. There's a few other ones here as I'm going through this. Why my Brit 2000 amp 5150 and Saldano don't have any sound when I choose them. Brian, I'm not quite sure what you're talking about, or I need you to expand on that a little bit. So do let me know, okay? I'll try to answer the question for you. Okay. Is there... Oh, here's a good one. Is there an MG30 application for Android? No, not yet. But I would like to see it happen, just as much as I'm sure you would like to see it happen. But it's going to be kind of a question to see where we land on that. But I don't, because I'd like to see something like that happen because we did it with the Amp Academy. So I imagine it's possible. I just don't know for sure. So I don't have quite the answer for you on that yet. But I know that has been requested several times already. So we're on the same page there, buddy. Okay, Ramon wrote, we need an octaver pedal. Yep, I've heard that one before. not the whammy. Well, you know, some people like to whammy, some people like to octave. But yeah, there will be. I'm sure at some point we'll get to it, but not quite this second. Okay. But I also see, Ramon, that you did expand here in the sequence. Yes, I use backing tracks and I need to automate some parameters, for example, to change presets or activate a delay. I'll check with what you're showing. The MG30 is very powerful. Yes, it is. Let me take a look at the QuickTone editor mapping here one more time and see if I can answer the question. But I don't think I'm going to have the answer you need right this second. But let's see here. Let's see. I'm just looking for the destination and see if it's here. As I know it was. I was pretty sure it was. Patch volume. You know, I'm just going to have to look. I'm just going to have to... yeah, I'm just going to have to probably defer to looking into that further and seeing if I can get you a more concrete answer at some point. Ramon, sorry, can't... Oh, this is funny. Okay, I look very funny like Jim Carrey. Well, let me also mention I don't work at Trader Joe's. I just happen to like wearing Hawaiian shirts. I've gone to Trader Joe's with a Hawaiian shirt on. Big mistake. Don't do that because everybody's going to come up to you and think that you work there. So do keep that in mind if you're here in the United States. For those of you who are in other countries, Trader Joe's is a nationwide chain of grocery stores that are very popular, and I love shopping there. It's where I get pretty much most of my food for the house. And but if you walk in, all the employees wear Hawaiian shirts. So don't wear a Hawaiian shirt when you go in there. You'll thank me later. Let's take a look here. Many of us are wondering. Oh yeah, okay. I wanted to answer this question. If NUX can have a drop tune pedal for at least 7 tones. Yes. I've heard several times this question. I don't have a direct answer for you, but I know that it's been requested several times. But we do hear you when you're giving us these suggestions. It's not like we're ignoring you or anything like that at all. But I do know that it has been asked of us several times. So my hope is to give you an answer of yes at some point, but I can't tell you quite just yet. Okay. Let's see. All right. I'm just going through the questions here real quick because it's been about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours now. Okay. Here's one from the Jam House. I just got the MG30. When outputting to an FR, is studio output mode the right one? Yes. That's the easiest way I'll put it. Yes. That's the easiest way to do it. Think of the FR as a powered studio monitor because it's exactly what it is. Full frequency, full response, or full range, full response, I think is what that FR stands for. And yes, that's the way it would work. So simple as that. But also remember, just remember when you go to the output mode. Oh, I was just there too. If you are experiencing a lot of bass, well, we have you covered, my friend, because you can just change the bass by using the correct knob here, which would be this guy right here, the first knob. And you could just roll the bass off in Studio Direct mode. And if you don't like it, just hit the reset button and it goes right back to 0. How about that? Easy, pleasy. Okay. Oh, here's a good one. All right, I like this question. How many more do we have? Oh, we pretty much caught up at that point. Okay. Danny writes, why is the looper live only? Well, Danny, it's because it's a phrase looper. And phrase looper is only used in on-the-go situations. It's so when you're creating something live, that's the way the phrase looper works. It's not a traditional looper like, say, a loop core, for example. The loop core is a looper that you can store all of your loops on the loop core, and then you can take it with you on the go. So the phrase looper, though, is meant for more of the live environment. Now, I'll say this in our defense on this one, because I know a lot of people would like to see us put like a memory bank in there where you could do all that. Two things would come of that. One is the price would go up to a point where nobody would want to buy it, because you put that much technology in, you put extra memory in the system, and all that well, the price will go up, and then then everybody will go, why is it $3.99 now? Well, because it's got looper memory in it now. But that's one thing. The other thing is that all the other competing products that are along the same line, the Ampero, the Line 6 products like the Pod Go, not a lot of people know that. But yes, those are all phrase loopers. They do not save with the preset, and you can't save it and go. If you want a dedicated looper, the loop core is a good example. It's a good opportunity right there. The loop core is a good solution. The Jamman, if you can still find one, that's not a bad solution. The Eros, if you're feeling saucy and you want to spend that much on a looper, you can do that. Or say the Headrush loop board, the looper board. That's a really good one too. But yeah, that's the thing. Is like when the more stuff you add in, you have to understand the price will go up. And so phrase looper at $2.99 is pretty much where we are. So there you go. Hope that helps. Armageddon writes, please make an FRFR speaker. Well, Armageddon, we do have one. It's called the PA50. And it seems to be treated like a redheaded stepchild. We just kind of forgot about it, but it's there, and we do have one. It's not as, say, versatile as, as far as, the FRFR 108 that I've got back there. Like, it doesn't have a port for the shaft, so you can put it on a stand like that. It's more of a wedge, but we do have one. But I agree, we should have another one made up at some point. I think our amplifiers are highly underrated in so many ways. Let's see what else is going on here. What's my feeling about parameter follow? Well, I think parameter follow is a great feature. I don't use it all that often, but I think it's a good thing for you to use, because it tracks your behaviors, and there you have it. Yeah, that's the quick answer. But we should probably do a deeper dive into parameter follow at some point. Okay, so Havan came back and said, please let me hear if there is a whistle in your MG30 with the noise gate on. No, there's not been a whistle, Havan. I know you want to. I know that was a concern. You were reaching out to me earlier about that. So let's see. Is the guitar still? Yep, it's still plugged in. Okay, so let me go over to QuickTone here, and I'll turn off the gate. And that's it. No noise. I think you might have a faulty unit, my friend. And I think what you should probably do is, I can hear that though. I think what you probably should do though is you should contact your local NUX distributor and see what you can do about getting that resolved, because it's probably warranty service that's going to be required there. But I hope that helps you out. Okay. Okay, Red wrote a quick one here. The mic you use sounds good. Well, it is a NUX mic. This is the B10 Vlog, and it is an amazing microphone. I use it for all of my videos these days. I've been using it since March, and I've been very, very happy with it. I went through a whole bunch of microphones for this channel. I was using a really nice condenser mic for a while. I was using a wireless lav. I was doing all that stuff, and I was just getting really questionable results. And what I did is I actually put some sound paneling up here, some soundproofing here, just to kind of get rid of some of the reflections. You have very tall vaulted ceilings in the room here, so it's not as bad as it was before. But that helps a lot. But also just getting one of these nice microphones worked really well. I was about to actually buy the Rode microphone and the Rode Go, and then I got this gig, and I was like, well, screw that. I'm just gonna get one of these. So that's what I did, and I think it sounds pretty darn good. All right, let's see. There is something here. Okay, hey, I want to mention that the MG30 as an interface is awesome. I couldn't agree more. I guess less latency and better performance than even with my Audient ID, ID14, and that it's exclusive unit for this unit. Well, great. I'm really glad that works for you. That is so very true. It is a really good audio interface. There's a lot of questions that I see from time to time where people say, do I plug it into my Focusrite interface or my Audient interface or my Motu interface or my Avid interface, whatever. No, you don't do that. Stop it. Okay, just kidding. What you do is you go out USB and use it as a USB audio interface. Why do you want to do that? Well, it's really simple. If you go out, analog out of the MG30, and then you go analog in to an audio interface, guess what's happening? You are converting a digital to an analog signal and then reconverting it from an analog to a digital signal. And what's that going to give you? Extra noise. You don't want that, okay? You don't. It doesn't sound that bad, but you get the point. You're going to get some noise out of it when you do that. So don't do that. Find a way to make it work as an audio interface via USB-C. I promise you'll be a lot happier if you do that. Same thing goes for using it as a reamping device. That's one of the really cool features about the MG300, the MG30, the MG400, the freaking Midi Plug Pro. You can reamp. And I mean, you can come up with some twisted stuff where you're going from like this puny little sound to something that's like gargantuan quite easily. So there you have it. All right. So on Rotes, thank you very much. You're so very welcome. Let me look at the captions just see if there's anything else that I want to answer before we go here. Okay, here is another question. What kind of USB cable do I need to buy for the MG400? Well, there is already a USB-C to USB-A cable in the box. You can use that or just get a USB-C to USB-C cable. But make sure that it is set for data, not for charging. So if you're using it to charge your phone, if it's specifically made for that, it's probably not going to be the right cable. So keep that in mind. Boom. Okay, where is the ghost feature? This is something I saw. Where is the ghost feature now? Well, we removed the ghost feature from the QuickTone editor, but it's still here. It's just somewhere else now. All right, here we go. I'm gonna go in there and just go down to System Restore, and there's your ghost. So you can back up your presets. I'll do that now. I'm gonna hit the save button. There it goes. Backing it up. I don't know if I'd call that a ghost or not, but woo. Well, it is October, right? Well, it's getting close to October, so why not? Okay, so it's saving all of it now. Bada bing, bada boom. You can reboot the device, which I guess that's now what I have to do, but that's okay. Let's get back to that. All right, so the ghost feature, there it is. Okay. All right, so can I explain the MG300 output in more detail? Well, yeah, we already talked about it earlier, so we don't talk about that too much. And somebody asked on Facebook, can you add a drop tune pedal and a synth? Well, we've already talked about the drop tune. I know everybody wants that. The synth, I'm not sure what you mean if you're asking like a synth filter or something like that. You could kind of do that with a touch wah. You have to get a little creative, but you can do that. Oh, here's one, and this has absolutely nothing to do with the MG30 or the multi-effects processors at all, but is the battery in the B3 replaceable? The B3 is our wireless dynamic mic solution, and mine goes fat overnight when turned off. I'm not sure what fat man probably means it decharged or something. The battery is not replaceable on your own. If you crack it open and do it yourself, you're going to break the warranty. What I would do is I would contact your local NUX distributor in whatever country you're in, John, and ask them for some assistance, and they'll get it to you. No problemo. Let's see what else is going on here. Oh, okay. Here's a good question about the Midi plug. What headphones are the best for the device? Now, Monk actually answered this question. This was on Facebook, or no, this was on Instagram. We got this with an Instagram direct message. And he said earbuds. I kind of differ on that. I do enjoy over the years. I have a love-hate relationship with earbuds. I'm not crazy about earbuds, frankly, because I don't know. The closer I bring those speakers the little speakers to my earbuds, to my actual eardrums, the more danger there is in hurting my hearing. And I love my ears the way they are. How do I, I'll just say real quick. So cast your mind back to 1990. Wow. I went to go see Ted Nugent and the Damn Yankees and Bad Company. It was Damn Yankees and Bad Company. It was a hell of a show. But it was also a hell of a volume bump. And I ended up going deaf for a couple of days. I couldn't hear quite right for a couple of days back there in my ute. And then I came to find that Ted was completely deaf in one ear and almost deaf in the other. And this was all the way back in 1990. I can't even imagine where he is now. But that taught me to really care for my hearing. And here we are, 2022, and I hear things that drive my family crazy just because I've taken really good care of my hearing. So I can't say enough about that. Be careful with headphones. So I happen to like over the ears myself. This is a pair of Beyerdynamics, the DT770s, I think they are. The DT770s. In fact, I don't even need to wear my headphones anymore. Although, I've got headphone hair. I'll keep it on. But there you have it. Okay, there's one more question here I do want to answer. Is it possible to use your products with a 12-volt adapter, power adapter for the service, the JTC, drum and loop? No. We don't recommend that. Don't do that. Use the right power supply, my friend. Go with the recommendations that are on the website. Don't go off the reservation, because if you do, I promise you're going to be very unhappy with the results. I've popped our pedals in the past, and while it's very cool when they go and you get a little smoke that comes out of it, not so good later when you need it to work. Okay? Don't do that. Okay, I think there was a couple other questions here in the chat. Okay. All right. There are a few questions, and these will be the last ones I'll take, because we're at almost 2.5 hours now. I only intended to go for an hour and a half or so, but you guys keep asking the questions. I want to answer them. And don't worry, we are going to do future installments of Ask NUX. So this is not a one and done. We are going to do this again. So if you're interested in doing what I just did with Kenny, where I had him come on and we built some patches, I am more than happy to do that with you. Just reach out to us and let me know, okay? You can use the comments section and I'll find you. Anyway, I have a clean track recorded and tried different presets in real time like we do with plugins. This is what loopback is for? Well, no, reamping is what you're talking about doing. Reamping is what you're talking about there, David. So what I would recommend doing is watch my video on reamping. I believe I did one for the MG30. I know I did one for the MG300. And if I haven't done one for the MG30 yet, I'll look and see it. If I haven't, I will. But yeah, reamping is what you want to do in that case. So you're going to basically you're going to record a clean track into your DAW, and then you're going to set it up for reamping. And what's going to happen is it's going to play that clean track back. It's going to go through the MG30, and then it's going to be recorded onto another track. So what you'll do is you'll listen to the processed reamped track. That's what you want to do. So reamping is what you want to do there, my friend. All right. Okay, can you show us how MIDI controllers work and a DAW to change? This is something I'm going to have to cover in the future, but it's a good question for sure. Okay. As far as the effects on the MG30, is there any chance of getting transparent distortion like the Klon and also an Octaver? Yeah, the Octaver, yeah, people have asked about that already several times, and I know that it's been requested quite a bit. I can't promise we'll have it, but who knows, maybe we will. Transparent distortion. Well, I find that the star is not bad here. Let me see if I can turn it back on real quick. Because we do have the the Horseman, which of course is two Klon Centaurs. I'm not sure if you guys have ever checked that. One of my favorite little mini pedals because it is it is the gold and the silver edition in one box for a mere $69. So pretty cool stuff there. But let's see if I go into the let's go in here. I find the morning drive is actually pretty. The morning drive is actually pretty nice as far as like transparency goes. That's a good one to start with. And I also think, of course, the Steel Singer is also a good one to go with. But it really does depend on what kind of guitar you're playing. One of the big feedback bits I got from people when I did the video on the Steel Singer is that I used it more as an overdrive rather than a complement to the overall sound like the Steel String Singer that it emulates. And I also wasn't using a Strat, and people had a kitten about that. And I won't even tell you how many wonderful bits of feedback I got on that video. Yet people still watch it. Well, hey, listen, that's just the way I chose to use it. If you watch Vertex, he did a real nice teardown on it because it pretty much mimics one of his pedals. And I think he did a very, very good job showing the tonality of it. I showed it the way that I used it. So I know it doesn't always float everybody's boat, but again, it's that's why we do things on our channel, right? But nevertheless, maybe those two would be a good transparent point for you to check out. Here's a good point David brought up. Maybe a VST host of QuickTone. You know, I couldn't agree with you more on that, David. I think that's a lovely idea. That would be the kind of thing that I'd love to see. Now, you guys don't know my history at all as far as like technology goes. I mean, I'm first and foremost a guitar player, but my history goes back to the 90s, back when we had Nubus Macintosh computers. They were all beige. There was no such thing as a G3 yet. We're talking about 601 processors. You cast your mind back to that. And I was lucky enough to get a job at Steinberg. I'm having some brain farts. I must be very, very tired at this point. I got a job at Steinberg back in the beginning of what would be the VST craze. VST was just introduced at that point. It did 32 tracks of audio. The effects were what they were, and it was back in the day where we were charging like $199 for like one plugin, and people were buying it, and you had that stupid dongle and all that crap you had to deal with. But you know, then some of the more creative stuff started coming out. Native Instruments was on its way out, and they had their Reactor, they had Guitar Rig, they had all that stuff, and I was there at the beginning for all that, and I love the way that guitar pedals, as far as software goes. I love how it's evolved over time, and because the first versions were just god awful, you know, just awful, just, you know, totally terrible. But what we've done now is just utterly amazing. I think the way it sounds is great. The thing is that all of that processing is actually being done on the MG30. So it would have to be hosted on a plugin. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I will tell you that NUX is going to be going into other categories next year, and you might be surprised with what you see, so do stick around. I won't say any more than that, but I will say that this time next year, the NUX will be different. There will be a difference as far as all that goes. So, ooh, mysterious. I am just messing with you guys so much on this stuff. I love it. I mean, I'm not messing with you. It's true. We are doing new stuff, but I just love baiting you. What are we coming up with? What's coming up next? You'll just have to wait your turn and find out. Okay? So, in any case, there you have it. Let the rumor mills start. I'm sure there'll be a whole crap ton of stuff on the forums and everything, and everybody's going to go, oh no, Pedal Guy said that there's all these new things are coming. Well, yeah, but I didn't tell you what. Okay? All right. All right. Carl wrote, good job, dude. This modeler looks great, but I'm going to stick with my MX5. That's fine. That's fine. You never know, though, Carl. You might find a way to use that send and return on the MX5 and grab one of our groovy pedals. I have to tell you, the one series I'm waiting for right now is I'm waiting for those new mini cores. They're on their way. They're on the boat from China now. They're somewhere in the Pacific, and they will be here soon. And they are hot because they have stereo in and stereo out. Woo! So that should be a lot of fun to play with. But in any case, yeah, that's going to be something to keep an eye on for sure. And I hope it will happen. But anyway, I think that's pretty much as far as we need to go today. 2 hours and 26 minutes. I think we're in good shape. So again, I am so glad that you decided to join us today and hang out with me and Kenny. And I hope you enjoyed this and got something out of this session. And I do intend to continue on with these. So if you're interested in participating in an edition of Ask NUX as a participant in the video stream, just let me know. You can do that by using the comment section below this video, or you can reach out to me directly at the NUX office here in Arcadia, California, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. But in any case, I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you so very much for participating today and hanging out with me. I hope you learned something, and I invite you to come back soon. Take care, guys.